Get in your chair. Oh my God. You want to be in the picture, Lola? So this is yours.
This one's mine. I wonder if it tastes good. It's my first.
It's going to taste great.
We'll see. Well, can't even cut it. It's a little too thick. Is that the problem?
No. I think we let it sit too long. No, it's fine.
Well, here, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, this is fun.
First inaugural pizza.
It's good.
It's good. It's all in the sauce.
Well, you know what?
That's 90% of a good pizza.
I agree with you that the sauce has to be good. The dough.
Try to scooch a little further because you're in a little bit of a shadow because you're a little. That's the film. I can know that as a filmmaker. I know that.
Come here, puppy. Come up. So the dough is super important.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And you know, I don't know what cheese they use at the different places.
Right.
So I've been experimenting with different cheeses, right?
Right.
You know, I want a low moisture mozzarella.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, again, it's all I'm just experimenting.
Yeah, trial and error.
But this is definitely better than everything in the neighborhood.
That's sad.
Why? You're telling this no good?
No, but you're a stone's throw from Manhattan.
No. Manhattan's different. You go to Manhattan, great pizza. I'm talking about.
What I'm saying, there's, you know, pizza, and I'm a pizza connoisseur. Pizza, okay, so if the epicenter is New York,
Right.
you're still going to get good pizza as you go further out. Now, the further out you get, now you end up in California, it sucks. But this general area has all the same ingredients, the same people. It's, you know, almost everywhere you go has got to be good.
Well,
pizza.
you know what happened? Here's what happened.
Should I get that one out?
Oh yeah, let's pull it out.
All right.
I think here's what happened.
Yep.
Over the years, costs have gone up, and a lot of places let the quality slip because they're afraid to charge more.
Right. Well, we wanted well done.
I just wiped my fingers on Lola.
You did what?
I just wiped my saucy fingers on Lola.
That's what she's there.
Wow, look at that steam coming out of it.
Look at that, huh?
That's awesome.
And the bubbling, it's perfect. Third time's a charm.
Oh, I think there's
Is something burning?
I think there might be an ember or a coal on there. That's yeah.
Is that bad?
Don't do it with your finger. Well, you see the smoke coming out of it. Yeah. I think it's lit on fire. That little piece there. I think a coal got on it. No?
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. Looks a little burnt.
It's done.
Looks a little burnt. That's okay.
So I think they let the quality slip.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like.
Well, wait a minute. But you've been here how long?
In this town?
Yeah. So it was never good, the pizza?
20 years, nothing around here. Now, I grew up in Palisades Park.
Mm-hmm.
Great pizza place in Palisades Park at Donna's. There was another one called John's, great pizza. I don't know if John's is still there. And then in Cliffside Park, Vinny's was the best.
Really?
Yeah. But here, not so much.
That's crazy.
Not so much.
That's just bad luck.
But I haven't been to all of them.
Well, you haven't.
No.
Well, then maybe there's one right around the corner. That's amazing.
But all the ones we tried were not
good.
Yeah.
There's a place up by Tommy's Chip's place.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the main road. I stopped there. It's really good pizza.
Is it? Which one?
I don't know what it's called. It's got a little hole in the wall.
But it's right there by Tommy's.
About maybe half a mile away.
On the same main road?
Mm-hmm. Same side. As you're going towards the freeway.
Okay.
It's an hour from there.
Right.
So what are you going to talk about Chip with?
Well, so with
what's your plan?
My plan. Well, I want to talk to Chip. I want to talk to Chip about what he's doing at Tommy's,
mm-hmm.
how he's building that up, because it looks like he's getting some traction.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I haven't been in a while.
You know, his whole comedy class thing,
mm-hmm.
how he structures that, and you know, maybe his early career.
Did you like the class?
I did enjoy the class.
You did.
You know what was good about the class? Well, so I took 2 classes with Chip.
Was mine the first or the second?
Yours was the first.
You do the writing one, the other one, right?
Um,
Or was they both stand up?
the second one was it was on Teams, which was great because I didn't have to leave the house to go do it.
Was virtual?
Virtual, right? It was on Zoom. But what was important was number one, you get feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, there's deadlines. So you really feel like you have to do it because putting a deadline on yourself is harder than letting the class down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we did go for practice, because we would then go meet up at the Rhino or this place or that place, and we meet for a little practice session.
Yeah.
He also made us do other exercises during those classes
nice.
that that really did help a lot. And he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm the kind of guy that I'll listen to something that someone's talking about, and even if I can't stand everything they're saying, there might be one little thing that they say that just clicks, right? And I'm not saying that about Chip.
Well, that was Chip. Everything you couldn't stand.
No. That's
I
all. Not what I'm saying about Chip. But I mean, like, there were some times he would say something. I was like, oh, like you have the aha moment, right? The aha moment. I remember listening to Dice on the Rogan podcast, and Dice was Dice, right? He was being whoever he is, right? But he said a few things during that podcast that were just gems for me.
Yeah.
Right? And it may not be what everybody else got from it, but for me, he said something about he was doing this show in wherever he lived, Brooklyn or wherever that was,
right?
And he was going to open up this one night to do this thing, and he went home and he just practiced until it was perfect, and then he went out and did it. And one of the things I learned from my son,
right?
I learned so much from my son.
That's nice.
That's going to the School of Rock. He, he had drum lessons or bass lessons, whatever he was, whatever lesson.
Yeah.
He had his lesson, and then they would have classes with the other kids where they would learn songs, and they all had to work together to learn the songs.
Yeah.
But then they had rehearsals, right? So there's 3 levels to all of that, right? And I think a lot of times, and you know this from what you do, right? Being in theater,
right?
Same thing. So practice your craft is step 1. You got to be good at your craft. Step 2 is learning the lesson and working with the other people to do what you have to do together. Step 2, and you have to do that well. But rehearsal is all about making sure that you don't screw it up. Right? That's what it's all about. Like you do it over and over and over, so that when you get out there, you do it perfect.
Yep.
Right? It's all about that. So Dice, when he said what he said, kind of said the same thing I learned from my son doing the music thing, right? Which is something that I don't think comes naturally to everybody if you're not doing that kind of thing.
Correct.
Right?
And I think people who look at performers from a distance think it comes easily and and without understanding how many hours Dice did that routine before he felt comfortable to go up on stage.
Absolutely.
And the key is to make it look like this is the first time when I go up on stage for stand-up, like it's the first time I'm saying this joke. It has to look like I'm having a conversation with that audience, even though I've done it 1,000 times at other open mics. I've done it in front of my mirror for an hour.
Yeah.
I've done it in the car, but I have to go up there to make it look like the same time I've said it the first time.
That's right.
And that's the thing I don't think people get, which is the beauty of it. I mean, I don't want them to get that. If they get that, it ruins the illusion, and then you're not that so special.
No, but
that idea that you put in all this work, and then the reward is people think you just came up with that.
Yes, right. Well, that's part of the illusion of the comedy thing, right? But it's little other subtle things that the light comes on, and I'm a late, like the harvest is already done, and that's when I'm blooming, right? Because I have no fucking idea, right? So I'm watching these comedy specials on Netflix, right? And then at the end of the special, it says written and performed by, and I'm like, oh, because when I was in college, there were guys that wanted to do comedy, and I thought they were just winging it.
Yeah.
Right? They were just winging it. And I remember this one guy I went to school with, he said he sat at the bar with Robin Williams and just pissed in his pants. Robin Williams was...
Yeah.
And, right, so I'm thinking, well, I don't have that quality.
Correct.
I can't do that.
But Robin is Robin for a reason.
Granted, right? Yeah. When you look at Robin, you're like, how does anybody else survive in this business, right?
But I would say most comics would say the same thing. Yeah. I look at Robin, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, and but if you're watching all the Netflix specials,
right,
you are those other people. Like if I watch a Chappelle, or
Chappelle he's got great setups. He's got great his delivery is impeccable. To
me, his writing is just brilliant. I mean, just the way he does it. And so I look at someone like that, or let's say Robin Williams. I think, well, I can't get to there. But I'll look at other ones who I think are great, and think, okay, that's attainable. You know what I'm saying? But I can't. But again, if I think I'm going to try to reach Chappelle level, or Robin Williams level, or Richard Pryor, that's never going to happen. But I can definitely get. You know, I don't think I will ever get or can get. But you can fool yourself into thinking I can be Nick Borghese.
That's interesting. You said his name.
Grab me another slice, will you? Go ahead. Why?
Because I believe that I could repeat a Bill Burr joke, and kind of not be exactly Bill Burr, but I could kind of play on his antics, and you'll laugh at the joke.
Correct.
Right? I could probably tell a Jeselnik joke, and I can probably pull it off. Like, I'm not Anthony Jeselnik, obviously, right? But I could tell an Anthony Jeselnik joke, and you'll get it. I cannot tell a Nate Bargatze story.
Correct.
I can't. He does that whole iced coffee with milk, and I try to explain iced coffee with milk to my wife, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Correct.
And it's fucking hilarious.
It's hilarious. Right? I also think Mulaney is the same way.
Mulaney, yeah.
They're very unique. Their stuff that they do is so specific to how the turn of phrase. Like if I use the words that Nate Borghese uses, I would. It's not something I would ever say.
Like, it's like the whole thing with his wife going to the airport, right? And she's like, well, she tells him a time, and he's like, oh, you're not going to, I don't think you know where the airport is. Right? And then she said, no, that's what time we leave. So what time do you think I was asking you? But the whole way he said it, oh my God.
No, I agree.
Freaking hilarious, right?
Yeah. And
he and Pete Holmes started together.
Yeah.
Right? Around the same time. And I think they knew each other when they were both young, right? Pete Holmes, for my money, he is just...
I loved his show. His last stand-up, I didn't like it.
Oh my God, I loved it.
I just didn't love it.
Okay.
Maybe it's I don't know what it was. I like him. But I love this TV show. What was it called? It's Crashing?
I don't remember that.
Oh, you got to watch that.
I saw a special.
No, you got to watch. It's a scripted show. Crashing.
Okay, Crashing.
And he plays a struggling, bad comedian.
Oh, really?
And it's in the comedy world. So there's other comedians that do guest stars. And the whole point is he's always crashing at someone's house.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's great. A lot of great cameos, but it's really, really good. And it deals with his religion and sort of struggling with the religion, but being a comedian. And I highly recommend it.
Okay. I'll try to find it. I'll find it.
I want to say Netflix, but there's so many now.
But I love this last special.
And I have no idea. I can't keep track of what's on what.
Gotcha.
When we were growing up, it was 247. That's what show it's on. We had three options.
That's right.
ABC, CBS, NBC. If it was a shit show, it was on Channel 5 or 9. But other than that, that's all we had.
But that's
now
the thing,
it's
right?
like...
So, now you're a few years younger than me, but we're in the same pocket there. So, Fox Sunday nights, right? It was Married with Children, and then it was Herman's Head, right? They were great shows. Like Sunday night on Fox was great.
Yeah.
And wasn't 21 Jump Street also on that same show?
I never got into 21 Jump Street, but probably.
But that wasn't a funny show. It was more of drama.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah, I never watched it. I actually never watched it. I was big with sitcoms. I wasn't big with like crime drama. It's still not. Unless... but But now there's so many streaming services, and I love it. But I'll watch a couple episodes of something, and then completely forget about it, and then come across it like a month later, 2 months, when I'm just scrolling through like Hulu. I'm like, oh shit, that show we got to finish.
That's right.
Because I can't remember. And part of it is I'm getting older. But part of it is just so many options.
There's always the alternative, right? So you don't want the alternative.
No, I don't. Well,
getting older.
There is a cutoff, I think.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, when I hit that date, I'll probably be like, you know what? The cutoff needs to go 5 more years. Like, I probably don't want to be like, okay, I'm done. But like, I look at my dad, who's 86 now, and he just, he doesn't have a lot of mobility. He doesn't have a lot of. So his body he's always got something wrong. To me, that's.
But how does he feel? Is he sharp or?
Yeah, he's starting to slip a little bit now. My mother before she passed, the year or two before she passed, she was declining quickly, her mind. But my dad was good, but but it's more, he was a big man. He was 6'4", and I just, his legs he was having a hard time. But that, to me, I don't want to have to go to the doctor every 3 days. Yeah. And they're always going to find something. That's 86, right. They're going to find something.
Right. But then the question is, so is it worth it? Right? Like, is it worth it? No, but I mean, and I can be cavalier about it and say what I think I would say, but maybe when I get older,
that's what I'm saying.
I won't.
Right, I think like at 78 or 80, if I think I'm ready to tap out. But she can see myself at 80 being like, no, I want to keep running this.
Let's say for sake of argument, right? A few years from now, you're doing middle acts and maybe headlining in some places, right? And then even if you're not like a full-time comic, but you could go on a vacation and book. That's my wife texting me.
Does she know you're doing this? Does she know you have play dates for the next 3 days?
She has no idea.
She's gonna see this. She's like, "What the fuck did you do?"
That's my phone vibrating in my lap. So now you go on vacation, and you book yourself as a middle act somewhere, and you just have a little fun with it while you're away. Yeah. Right? I mean, that could be fun. And if you're doing that, what's the...
I did an open mic in St.
Having
Pete Beach,
dinner
Florida.
at the Wynn. Okay. I'm just going to give her a heads...
And what are you going to lie? Just watching shows.
Yeah.
And watching Netflix, honey.
So, what's funny about... I remember Tom Segura, one of his specials, and he talked about losing weight, right? And people like, oh, well, what'd you do, right? And like, if he could do it, I could do it, right? And then he's like, well, no, you can't. Like, look what I'm doing right now. You can't do this. And here I am watching him on TV, and I'm like, I bet I can, right? I bet I can, right? So, and little by little, I decided.
Is that how you decided to then take the class?
No. So I started going to open mics for a year.
Oh, before the class. Oh, really?
Well, I wanted to see.
Were you going up on stage or just watching?
No, I was going up on stage.
You were, okay.
Right. And I had stupid,
sticky
little things that I would do that I thought were funny. And some of them actually probably could be good bits, but I have to rework them a bit.
Yeah.
And what I discovered after, watching other people talk about it, I discovered that saying something on stage that you think is funny may or may not be funny, but you have to structure it correctly in order for you to
be funny.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then there's the whole delivery thing and everything else, but you have to structure it correctly. So I was watching, I don't know if you know Jerry Corley. He's got a book you could download.
Okay.
And he explains a lot about, how to set things up. But he's got a lot of like little help YouTube videos that are, a lot of them are very useful. And like I said, even the Ralphie May thing.
Yeah.
That little thing, he's got it's an hour-and-a-half masterclass. It's on YouTube. And he says a lot of really important things that you need to know.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely great. So, so I started doing open mics. And then I started to realize that some of the things I was saying, they weren't really jokes.
Yeah.
And I decided I wanted to rewrite some things, that kind of thing. And that's when I decided, okay, now I'm going to take the class. Now I have intelligent questions to ask.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just go take the class out of the gate, right, you kind of did that, but you were already a writer.
Yeah. No,
so
I think I had a different starting point than I think most people.
When you showed up, you were already good.
Well, that's very kind.
No, it's the truth.
Yeah,
like you already had stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I hadn't written. I mean, the stuff I wrote was for the class, but I had been comfortable on stage.
So you wrote up the Stanford thing for the class?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a one-liner. But here's the thing. Well, that's actually an interesting question, because what did I write for the class? I mean, so the joke is, my daughter goes to Stanford, and then I give a pause.
Right.
And then people look, and and the key, which I can never really quite get, because I'm uncomfortable, is to wait as long as possible.
Right.
And then be like, oh, I don't have a joke here. I just like tell her. I bring that up whenever.
I bring that up. Right.
And then I do a couple things with the crowd and work it in.
And and you could very easily, just do something distracting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then.
And so the joke is that when I say I wrote it for the class, I had already known I was already aware we would joke with my wife and each other that we try to work it in to everything. So when I started writing the act for the class, I was then wanting to be about being the stepfather and all about that. And then I said, okay, well, now I'm going to bring that joke in there, because it was already fully formed. Oh. And it's a nice sort of spacer to bring me from one line of jokes to another without, because transitions are hard.
Right.
Going from one to another. So that's a nice break too.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is when I do longer sets, is do that early, and then 15 minutes later, start something, and then do it again, and my daughter, and then
that's the callback.
Right. Yeah. And that works. I did a set. I was doing where was I? It might have been Tommy's before he moved the stage, but I was doing a thing, and I did this, and somebody said, I was talking, doing crowd work, and I asked, oh, where your son, when he goes to college, oh, where does he go? And then she tells me, and then I was then inadvertently, I then said, oh, because then I'm like, okay, now I was going to do my daughter one, but it seemed douchey because I felt like I was like, your son is stupid,
right,
and that's not what I meant by it, and it was thrown for the rest of the thing because I felt bad, because I certainly never want to make fun of
exactly
the audience. Now I will periodically, but ultimately I'm going to make fun of myself.
Right.
But
I gotcha.
But yeah, so most of that was written. And if you remember, I went long. I mean, I had a long.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I had a long fucking thing. But because and it was still. I'm still sort of finding what my character is on stage, and I think I found it now. But then I didn't know.
Well, you've got a couple of different characters.
I do have a couple, and I've got the whole stepdad guy, but then there's the whole bi thing. I get the old jokes about the bi thing. So, which I'll do in gay clubs or if it's a gay friendly thing. But I have a joke
I never bring it up because I don't know when it's appropriate to bring it up.
Well, it's
right, like if it's just you and me talking.
You can bring it up anywhere though. That's it.
No, but I wouldn't bring it up.
Well, it wouldn't. I mean, how would it come up though?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, oh, I met Kyle at at Scotty's. Right. Oh, he's bisexual. That would be odd.
That's stupid. Right.
But if somehow there was like, oh, what's it? Then I mean, it doesn't bother me. But I get the whole thing. But I had a joke initially with being a step parent, and I think, and here was my one complaint about the class. It wasn't a complaint. It was a disappointment. I was hoping for more feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, and part of it I think was that we had too many. There was a lot of people in the class, so by the time everyone went up, did 5 minutes, Chip would get a couple things, and then anything, and a couple of people would chime in with something, and that would be it.
Right.
I was really looking to sort of find out what's working. When I go up, do my thing, and then really, because I had a whole bit about being a stepdad and how the bar is real low. You don't have to be very good. And for a stepmother, it's real easy because and for stepfathers. And my original joke was, first, all you have to do to be a great stepdad is not fuck your daughter. And see, I think that's
the Woody Allen thing, right?
And that's so funny. But I think it's also like, so. But what I said was not date my daughter's friend. And it's not as funny,
right?
But I also realized early on that's. I think a different character, a different comic could say that you can't fuck your stepdaughter and you're a great stepfather. It would work great. What I was doing, what I was trying to do, it was too jarring of what the rest of my set was. But it was hard because I knew that was the better joke.
Right, but maybe there's a way to fit it in. You just have to.
Yeah, I really tried, and that was what I was hoping for the class, because I would have loved to bring that to the class and say, "What do you guys think?" You know what I'm saying? And everyone also everyone was understandably kind and nice, and not really wanting to give constructive criticism. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I would say I like this, or I wasn't crazy about that, but I don't know that I'm capable to, unless something really great. No. Unless something really came to me, I don't know if that I'm capable to throw a tag, unless it was
to another comic, like someone looking for feedback, or on your own.
No,
for your own act.
To some other comic.
Well, I don't necessarily mean you give them a better line, but if it didn't work for you,
right, yes,
it either works for you, and everyone is qualified,
right.
Whether you've seen one comic in your life or seen 100.
Yeah, I wasn't.
If you're sitting in the audience,
right,
and it didn't work, you'd be like, "Oh, that didn't work for me."
That didn't work for me.
And why? And if you're capable of articulating, you may not know why. But those are the kind of things when you're up there.
Sometimes you're not sure, right?
You don't know, so it's just it doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah.
I have a thing. I'm working on a bit, and Alexa, who took a class, I've worked on this. Is that I talk about incels. You know what incel is? Involuntary celibate.
Oh no, I didn't know anything.
They're called incels now. When we were growing up, they were called losers.
Okay.
So, but now everyone has to have a label and an identity, so they're incels, and they're a bunch, and they've all banded together on their little internet because they're in the basement with their mom's thing, and they're all incels, and they're involuntary celibate. And this is my joke, and then I'm like, I said, but and they're sitting in their thing, and they because no one wants to fuck them, they're angry.
Right.
So they're going around and they're shitting on everything on the internet. If a superhero movie comes out starring a woman, they shit on that. If there's a female gamer, they bully her and they scare her into it.
Right.
They just, but it's all behind the screen.
Right.
I said, but you get any of these incels within 5 feet of a woman, they're like Brad Pitt at the end of Seven. They're like, "What's in the box? What's in the box?" And so what I do,
it's good.
I like it. So, and when I say it, I point to a woman's area.
Right.
What's in the box? And then I say, "I'm sorry." And then, because I'm like, "I'm so sorry." I pointed at, and I initially wrote it, and I worked with Alexa, was really helpful with this. I'd be like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point at your vagina, but the joke works better if you point at someone's vagina. And if I want to promise you, I was never thinking about your vagina when I was thinking it. It was just." And then I'm like, "Okay, well, now I'm trying to picture your vagina. I'm sorry." So the whole thing, and Alexa was like, "I don't know. I think if it were me, I would be really uncomfortable with you talking about my vagina over and over and over again."
Right. Say it once.
Say it once, or just say your area. That I wasn't ever thinking
it's like
about.
Double dip,
but it was
chip,
exactly.
Dip it once and end it.
But and you can keep going. Then it's like, and then I'm like, "Oh, Joe, great. I'm going to be, Me Too." And then I'm like, well, with me, it's like hashtag him again. So it's that thing, but you got to work it through, and you can't always work it through because you get 5 minutes on open mic.
Right.
So you can't work it through. You don't know enough.
Right. But whatever you covered at one mic, at the next mic, you're going to take it to the next.
Yes.
But that's
if you do enough
thing,
mics,
right?
I don't do enough mics.
Yeah, but my feeling is a lot of that stuff you can just practice at home.
Well, you can practice it at home, but you don't know if it's going to work at home.
Right, that's true. But if you record yourself and then look at it, you're either going to cringe or say, it's coming, right?
Yeah, but I still think you need the audience.
Right.
They're the only
audience
ones
at the mic. Like, you got to go to a mic that has an audience. That's the trick. Because a lot of times...
Correct. Yes, exactly. That's why you got to pick and choose. That's why, like, we were talking earlier off camera, like, we're both, older and have families and married. Like, so if I was single,
I'm not going out of
if we were single, if I was single and didn't live in, like, Mendham, where it's 40 minutes to get anything, if I was single and lived in it, I would be at an open mic every night.
Right.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
And you just get better at it.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't mind then going to 5 minutes for a mic. I mean, in that, or go a couple of, and like people go to the Rhino, and then they go to one, and they went to the one that what's his name used to do before he passed.
Oh, right, he did one in Nanuet, right? Anthony,
yeah. So, so that's the thing. So yeah, you can do it at the open mic, And that's what I wish the class had more of, like people like Alexa saying, it's funny, but as an audience member, I don't know if I would like that.
Right.
And finding a way to still keep it without, so if I don't say, I think the word vagina is very funny. So I thought, but I could see why if you're talking about a woman's vagina as opposed to, just down there.
See,
it
now,
just takes it
I don't know, like Gina, pronounce it.
Gina.
Gina. Tina. Tina. But why is it vagina? Right? Like,
Regina?
why isn't it Tina? Why isn't it Tina? Regina. Why is it Regina, not Regina? I don't know. Right?
And why
Regina,
is it angina? Isn't that a disease? What's that? Angina?
No, angina, right.
Angina. Why is it angina, not angina?
Right, acute angina, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know why it's not.
That's just a great word.
Just a weird.
But I'm glad, because I think vagina isn't as funny as vagina.
That's true.
Vagina is great.
Yeah, it is.
So is also, as a gay man or as a bisexual man, I love the word faggot. It's a great word. I'm not offended when people use it. Eminem could use it 100 times. It's a great word. And it rhymes with a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just a great word. I'm not offended by it. Like, there's words that are just good. Yeah. Now, that being said, if I'm at an open mic and there's a comedian keep calling somebody a faggot in a weird way, like in a...
Yeah, that's different.
If he's like, oh, this guy was a faggot, that's not funny. But if he used it in a funny... Like, I have a whole thing, because I did my movie about race. I have a bit that I'm afraid to use. I was going to actually talk to Monty about it, to say, hey, it's about...
Monty's good.
Yeah, because it's about sort of how women... I have his whole thing about words. You can't... We're getting rid of words. We're canceling words. You can't use the N word. Understand?
Right.
You can't, now you can't use the R word, and you can't use the F word.
What's the F
faggot.
Word? Oh,
and
okay.
R is retard.
Right,
I said, understand, it's very important to protect, people that are, of color or,
But even midget, you can't use the M word either.
But that's good. Right? That's exactly good. But then I say, but who we don't care about? And I point to a couple women, because anyone can say bitch. They say bitch all the time.
Right, that's
and
right.
then I have a whole thing. And then I have a thing at some point where I say the N word.
Oh, you actually say it?
Well, that I don't, because I've never done it, because I don't have the balls.
So I'm going to give you a little tip about something I learned a while ago. My sister dated a cop. I'm not going to tell you what town he lived in. But since they couldn't use the N word, they would call them Norwegians. And that was code. Started with an N, right? And they would use the word Norwegians.
See, that is a deep level racism.
It is.
Because if you can't use the N word,
right?
You call them black. It just,
But these were, cops are.
Yeah. Cops are a special breed.
So, well, yeah, I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah. So, I think that what I would love to find, I think there's in bigger metropolitan areas they have it, like obviously like more of a community, because I think I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. I heard Austin's a nightmare anymore.
It's no good anymore.
No, I used to love it, but I heard it's just so built up and so great. It's just too much.
But it's like it's got the Rogan Club and then a bunch of other clubs.
Well, and it also is a liberal area within a very surrounded by a very, which gives you an interesting audience.
Yeah.
Because I said I did an open mic at Tampa once in Florida.
Oh, you said that? Yeah.
Man.
No good.
Well, it's exactly what you would think a Florida open mic would be. I mean, it was fine. The problem was they anyone who came they put on, so it went well into it. But there was an audience. But I mean, it was the first guy got up, and he was this African American man, and he was so anti-Trump. And he was just, it wasn't funny at all.
It wasn't funny, right?
But he was just gonna, and there were people in the audience who were in Florida who were absolutely pro-Trump. And so then
they were getting angry.
It was such a, and I'm gonna do my little stepdad shtick.
Right.
But it was, but I like the idea. What I love, what I wanted to get into comedy is, in my third act, was because of the community. I love the whole supporting of like this is great, this is funny, like hanging out and talk. Hey Tom, well, let me ask you this, you think this is funny? And that kind of thing I just love. You don't get that a lot around here, and I don't know what it is. I've tried to I always try to think, what is it about? And there are certain clubs we've talked about that are more positive than others. Right. I think the Rhino has, for the most part, a very supportive.
I think you get a more supportive crew at the Rhino. I agree with you. Yes.
And I think part of it has to do with the owners are very pro performer.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think then they attract I think Tommy's is great.
Well, Chip's there, right? So.
Yeah, Chip is there. So that, but again, I there's been other places that I just think
he gives you good feedback.
He gives you good feedback, and he also I did a show. I produced a show. I think I told you I brought in this lesbian. She's a pretty big lesbian comedian named Poppy Champlin, and she came in and she was getting paid a lot for Tommy's, and we weren't going to cover it. And at one point, we only had the day before day of, we had 2 sales.
Right.
And he said, look, I'm going to call her. I'm going to let her know. I don't want her to show up.
Right.
And there's only 2 people there. No, we ended up getting about 50, 60, 50, 55 people there.
Okay.
But at the time, so he's like, because I don't want to be her showing up and being embarrassed. I want to give her the option.
Right.
And I said, look, I'm still paying you. Don't worry. You're getting your money. I just want to give you a heads up. That's the kind of shit I don't think a lot of promoters do.
Gotcha.
And this is to his fault.
I don't know, but yeah.
He's not in it for the money.
Right.
He wants to make money.
Yeah.
The problem is he doesn't because he's not in it for the money. You know what I'm saying? He's too nice.
Yeah.
And as a comedian, you love that. But as a promoter, as a producer of other things, I look at him like, oh, you could be doing this and do so much better. Yeah. I also think there needs to be a bigger rotation of the comedians he uses. If you see,
well, he has that crew.
He's got the same 7.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, because I was thinking about this with somebody else. I'm never going to ask somebody, "Can I be on your show?"
Right. I'm the same.
I think if somebody sees what I'm doing and then says, "Hey, you might fit here," great. But I'm not going to ask, "Hey, can I be on?"
Can you say, "Hey, if you ever need me, leave it open," or we won't even do that?
Oh, I'll do that maybe.
Yeah, because I think that's okay.
But yeah, I'm not going to ask to. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, and I think when I'm ready, everybody will know, right? And until I'm ready, I'm not.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Well, so even so the last show I did for the last class that I did,
right?
I think I did very well. I did about 15 minutes. I think I did very well. And I think if I kept practicing that set, I'd have a semi-clean 15 minutes that I could bring anywhere, right?
Right.
But I haven't been practicing, right? So I don't want to just show up and forget my lines and.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's not so much your material.
I want to be professional about it.
Gotcha.
I don't want to be the guy that
everyone blanks out. Chip told me the other day he for the first time in 30 years he just lost it.
Oh,
it happens. Although maybe we're just getting older.
Yeah, but I want to get better. I want to
point.
get better at what I'm doing before I,
before you expect someone to put you on a bill.
Absolutely,
I get that.
Absolutely.
But that's
like when my comedy's as good as the pizza.
That's never going to happen. Neither of us are going to get to that point. The pizza was really good.
We got to cut that one. Oh, maybe, take that one home.
No, I'm not going to take it home.
Why not? Your wife should enjoy it. This way she knows you really were here having pizza.
Or not having an affair.
Right.
I don't think she cares at this point. You get to a point.
So I was telling you, my wife says a lot of funny shit.
Right,
So we were talking about getting an investment property here or there or whatever. And she always talks about, these retirement communities. And I'm like, why? Because
to invest in one or to move
just
to
live in one, right? And I'm like,
because I guess you're old enough. You're 55 and older.
Right. She's 55.
Gotcha.
So we could go to a 55 older, and they have all the activities or whatever. And there was this nice one. It looked really nice. It's in North or South Carolina. It looked gorgeous, right? And I said to her, listen, honey, because, she's Filipino, right? I said, I think you've been with me too long. You forget that you're not white, right? I said, once we wind up at that place in South Carolina, it won't be long before one of those women is sitting down in the room with you and says, you know, bless your heart, my granddaddy told me that, you know, your kind of people, it's not this way, it's kind of this way, you know, like it's the slant is the wrong way, you know. And you know, and she's like laughing. My wife is laughing her ass off, right? Because I'm doing the Southern accent and everything. And then she says, well, it depends on what kind of credit card. You have this credit card or that credit card. And I'm like, you know, like she just kind of.
That's very funny.
She's really, really funny.
But that's a funny bit.
No, but I mean, but I wasn't trying to make a bit.
I'm just saying,
I was just playing.
But as an aside,
you know?
That's a funny thing I've never seen talked about. And it's also, or that she'll be doing the laundry. They'll think she's working there.
Oh my God. She's just.
That's very funny.
She says a lot of funny stuff. So, you know, and I keep saying, you know, why don't you?
She has no interest.
I don't want to get up and talk to people. I don't want to get up and at her job, she doesn't want to get up and do presentations, right? She doesn't want to do any of that. So, you know, she's just not her thing.
Not her thing. Yeah,
you know, when we go to, I went to a party with her at one of her companies that she worked for.
Right.
Like it was one of those holiday parties.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I wound up being in every table's picture.
Why? Just because you were?
I just went to every table as
on purpose,
as the photographer was taking pictures. I was going.
That's very funny.
And I met everybody, right? And she's like, "You leaving me again? Like, what? Don't leave me. Stay with me, right?" Now, I met everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not like doing anything. I'm just talking to everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's how you gotta be.
We're different like that. Yeah. You know.
I get that. My wife had no interest in being on stage.
No.
But she looks at that. She goes. I don't know why any would want to do it. Why any would, you know? And it's who she knows I am. So she puts up with it. And just like Kyle has to be the center of it. Like it's just she knows.
So is that it though? You want to be the center of attention? Because that is kind of it for me a little bit.
I don't know if I want to be the center of attention. I want to be the hit.
Yes.
Of wherever I am.
Okay.
So if I'm on stage, I want to be the best comedian. Okay. If I'm at a party, I want everyone to want to be in the conversation I'm having. That's sort of how it is. Like I want to be entertaining. And you know, because it's ultimately, and this is why the stage is so great, the laugh is so intoxicating.
Yeah. Oh, but I remember
power.
I didn't get any, like the first open mic I ever did, I don't think I got any laughs.
See, but then that's great that you came back.
But no, when I got done, okay, I went skydiving once. Not by myself. It was a tandem.
Right, but that's still your goal.
Because you have to take lessons to be able to control. It was a tandem.
Can anyone just go tandemly? Like I can go tomorrow. Do you have to take lessons to do tandem?
Yeah, you could go. Yeah, anybody could do it, right?
Gotcha. Not that I would.
It was exhilarating, right? Exhilarating. And I got the same exact feeling.
When you bombed?
When I did I didn't bomb.
You didn't get any laughs, Tom. That's not exactly.
But it wasn't like people were booing me. You know, it was a bar. Like it was just the comics that were getting up.
So what is it about the thrill?
I just felt so alive being up there talking and trying to make jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like I know a lot of jokes that I heard when I was young. But that's not what you're supposed to do here. You're supposed to write your own, right?
Right.
But I always love telling the old jokes. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, there's comedies. There's comedians around Jersey that are doing that.
I'm sure.
And we could probably know a few, but yeah, it is exhilarating. But I don't like I hate, even if it's like, if I have a good set, but I fuck up one line. It sticks with me. I have a great time.
You'll beat yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, just, I wish I could have.
Well, I won't even realize I forgot to say something until I.
That's exactly right. I'll forget. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot the whole.
But see, that was it, right? The set I did up at the Rhino, where I did the whole 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I did screw one up. Like I screwed up the whole joke, and I was like, "Oh, you get? I really screwed that up." And then I went on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But I was kind of in the moment, and that's not. Like I'm usually not that comfortable to be No, I want to be in the
You
market.
want to be, but that's
but I'm
generally.
not that comfortable yet. Like I have to really master the material, and I didn't, so.
Yeah, no, I get that. Part of me, if I'm not sure if it's a funny joke, I find I rush through it the first couple times I do it. I'm like, of course no one's going to get it because I didn't sell it.
Right.
But so, and I hate that. Then again, it's like, now you got to wait the next time to see if it works.
But you will.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And and even like there's stuff, I wrote 2 years ago that I just tweaked and is better already. You just always are, hopefully, finding a better way, a quicker way to say it. But
so like I used to drive my kid up to school because he went. So he and I would just talk the whole way, right?
Yeah.
And we're stopped on the highway and we get behind this truck, and it was a exterminator truck.
Right.
And I want to try to make a bit out of this, and I think I could make a good bit out of it, but I'm going to tell you what actually happened in the car.
Okay.
Right. So we get behind this exterminator, and it's Viking pest control.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Viking pest control. That's pretty clever, right? Like the Vikings, they're tough. And I was like, so if you were going to start a pest control company, what would you make it, right? Because you can't take Viking anymore.
Sorry.
And then we started going through all the conquerors, and then finally Nazi came up.
Right, of course.
Like, you can't sell that, right? Like Nazi pest control, right? But that was the actual conversation that he and I had.
Yeah.
And it was freaking.
That's great. Yeah.
So I walked away with that, and then I tried to make a bit out of it.
And what happened?
I tried to expand on it, like, oh, thank you for calling Nazi pest control, Sie Heil, but and maybe I can make it really funny, I guess, if I really try. But,
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing, like, little conversation having, like, holy shit, like there it is.
Yeah. It's in everything. You could find something funny in everything.
You getting sleepy?
Well, it's not going to be sleepy. You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's that we had a summer, and my daughter was in town. She was living with us. She was home from school. So everything's fucked. Like your schedule's fucked. My son's up till 2, 3 in the morning, laughing, playing, talking to his friends, and so I got no sleep. But okay, because you wake up at 10, whatever. Now school's back, and now I'm getting up at 6.
Right.
And my body, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't adjust.
Well,
like
I
when
got
I was
up
little.
really early this morning because I had to drive my wife to the airport, and I'm not up that early. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, So now it's like, okay, and I have a dying cat.
Oh.
Who?
Right.
And here's the thing: I probably should take her to the vet. So what's happening is, she's peeing or trying to pee on the wall in my bed, right by my pillow. So every time she comes on the bed, even if I have to be, I'm vigilant to make sure she. And so so I'm not getting any kind of sleep.
Right.
And then if I shut the door, she just meows and meows and meows. So I'm sleep deprived, Tom.
Gotcha.
That's the problem.
But I asked you this a while ago.
Yeah.
When we were just talking.
Yeah.
With what you do for a living, right?
Which part? The making the movies?
Well, right. So, I guess all of it, right? You're a writer.
Right.
You produce films.
Direct films.
Direct and produce, or
direct and produce. Yeah.
Right. So, like when I get up to go to work, I know I have tasks, right?
Yes.
I have to fix this bug, fix that bug, work on this software, whatever. Like I know what I have, right? It's already laid out for me. But for you, since it's creative, like how do you decide when you're going to start a new project? How do you decide what it's going to be?
It decides for you.
How?
It's like a bit. Excuse me. It's like a bit. You work it in your head until you realize, oh, wait a minute, I have something, and then you expand upon it in your head first, and then I go to the computer, and then I start writing the script.
Okay.
And usually, by the time I get to the point where I'm going to start writing it, I know it's something.
Okay.
I'll work it, because people will say, well, how long does it take you to write a script? And like a movie I did, I wrote it probably in a week. But it's not really fair because
you were thinking about it for a year.
Yeah, so exactly.
Right.
So by the time I'm writing, it's all there. It's just a matter of getting it down.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the actual real question now. The real question is, so what do you do for money? You know what I mean? Like I get a salary. Right?
Yeah,
but
well,
you're getting paid by project.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. I'm asking.
Well, it's a lot of different balls in the air. Like, it depends. When I was in LA, before I decided to like sort of put my career on pause to be a stepdad to these young kids, which I've done for the last 15 years. When I was in LA, it got to the point where I had projects, I would find investors, and they would invest in my movie, and in that budget would be a fee for the writer, me, the director, me,
right,
the producer, me, sometimes the actor, me, and then the editor, sometimes me. So I'm getting that there. Plus, I own half of the movie. So if and when it makes any money, year or two down the line, I'm also getting residuals from that.
Okay, hold on. Now I'm confused about one thing.
Okay, just one thing.
Well, no.
Yeah.
You getting paid as the producer. I was always under the impression that the producer was the investor.
No, the executive producer is the investor.
Okay.
Yeah, the producer is the person who he's the project manager. He or she puts it all together. Or there's a few of them, but they're the ones that sort of either the actual shoot or finding the other components to put them together, work together, that kind of thing. The producer is the sort of the one who really does most of the work.
Gotcha.
And makes it easier for the director to just worry about directing.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the executive producer is the money guy.
Got it.
Yeah. And I'm never the money guy.
Got it.
I learned, there was this quote from Rick Rubin, who's a very famous record producer. He basically, he first started with rap, and then he worked with the Chili Pepper. But anyway, and then he made a movie with Run DMC. And his answer was, said, what would you do? Would you do it again? He said, yes, I would. What would you do differently? What I would do differently, I would raise the money, but I would keep it and find someone else to put the money out, and then spend someone else's money. And that's what I do. I never, ever put my own money out on it, because it's a fool's errand. So I find investors, so let's just say I've got this movie I'm trying to get made right now. It's a $500,000 budget.
Okay.
All right. So that's the whole thing. But I'm going to get $20,000 for writing it. I'm going to get $25,000, $50,000 to $40,000 for directing it. So so that's that, and that, and then again, when I sell it in a year and a half, 2 years, I'm also getting a piece of that.
Gotcha.
So with 8 films and a bunch of other, and I'll get hired periodically to help produce something else on a small, like, couple month thing because I'm being semi-retired. I wouldn't have done it back in the day when I was just doing my stuff.
Right.
But when my kids were younger, I didn't want to go somewhere for 5 months shooting something because I didn't want to leave them. So
Sure.
I would do stuff around town. I've coached. I've acting coach for kids.
Got it.
For a
nice.
while, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice.
You just sort of cobble together.
Would you ever be interested in like giving a talk or something like that at a school?
Yeah, I've done that many times. Yeah.
I have a school I want to hook you up with. The school that my son went to. I'll give you the details later. I think. Is it a
performing arts school or no?
It's a school for the gifted.
Yeah.
And so the requirement there is that every kid is either going to do cello or violin.
Okay.
Right. Even the kindergartners are doing
the cello or the violin,
ukulele or the recorder.
Gotcha.
And then when they get like second, third grade, and my son was in the first graduating class of high school there.
Oh wow!
So they didn't have a high school there, but what happened was
was it a charter school?
It's not a charter.
It's a private school.
Private school.
K through 12.
Well, it was just
K through 6, and they kept expanding as they got older.
It was K through 8, but the owner's daughter
was K.
Was the first freshman high school.
Oh,
so they opened for high school.
Got it.
And I think they're still doing high school there.
Nice.
But it's called Ivy Prep.
Okay.
I mean, that's not the name of the school, but that's what they do, Ivy Prep.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all about, like, the woman that started it, she's famous for helping kids get perfect scores on their SATs. Well, I mean, there's a matter of hand selection.
Of course, it's not picking.
Right.
I wouldn't have been invited to go on Ivy Prep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. They're going to find the.
But I mean, there was a kid that was I want to say maybe he was a little bit on the spectrum, but not like
right,
not like
functional.
Right. Yeah, no, more than functional, but a little.
Who's
bit.
not on the spectrum?
Right. Yeah,
I think it was a comedian talking about who's on the spectrum. He said something recently like, yeah, because all these dads that have these really elaborate train sets in their basement, they're not on the spectrum.
That's right.
Come on,
that's right.
Come on. Yeah, exactly.
No, but this kid in the 7th grade got perfect SAT score.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Just. So when my son went there, like in our school, he was like top dog, right? When he went there, was
it a struggle for him?
No.
That change?
No, it wasn't. No, those were his people.
Okay.
Those were his people. But I tease him. I was like, you were the dumbass there. He wasn't the dumbass.
Of course.
But I tease him.
Malcolm Gladwell has a thing about don't go to Harvard. And his thought process is that, look, everyone is in the top 1%, 2% in the nation when they go to these Ivy schools.
Right.
So they're used to being number one. But there's a huge high dropout rate in Ivy League schools, more than 2nd or 3rd tier schools. And he said the reason is people go there, and there are some people that aren't prepared not to be the top dog.
Right.
And they're not used to not being the number one. And so they get discouraged, they feel dumb, they feel like they're failures, and they drop out.
Wow.
And his thing is, go to a 2nd tier school, go to a 3rd. They're all very good schools, and you will be in the top where you're normally, and you will thrive and you will feel confident. Like he said, now it's great for people who can make it at Harvard and Yale, but not everyone can, and it's okay. Because it's, because there is an adjustment of like, oh, wait a minute. Because my daughter saw the same thing. Always special top in her school.
Right.
Going to Stanford, and there was a part for her where like, shit, everyone has got their shit together. People are developing apps. They're working with Google, like, and everyone. And she's like, now I'm just, and so so that's what I was wondering if your son, he's going to one or the other. I think they're either going to struggle, finding their people.
He didn't struggle, but he's not
academically.
No. He's not a mathematics kid.
Gotcha.
He was more like I told you, he won the gold key in Scholastic, right? Yeah. So he was more artistic that way. He did well in math and the sciences, but like it's funny. So like he's at school now doing his sound engineering or whatever, right? And I was talking to him on the phone and I said, I have this idea. Here's what I want to do. I got the pizza oven and I want to figure out a way to put steam in there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this little kettle that's going to be inside there. And then when the water boils in the kettle, it's going to spew steam out. And he explained to me exactly why it wouldn't work.
Oh, because I would think that was a great idea.
Well, I thought it was a great idea. And he explained to me why it wouldn't work. And basically it was because once the water's superheated,
would the steam evaporate before it came out?
It wouldn't be steam anymore. It would just be a gas in the pot.
Why did you want to put steam in the
Well, when you make certain breads, steam injection actually helps the bread expand better.
So you haven't figured that out?
Well, no, I have a few ways to get steam in there, but what I was trying
wasn't going to work.
What I was trying to invent wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And he explained it to me just like that. Right. So he's he's way smarter than but I understand. But it's funny because okay, let's do that, right? He's in the 7th grade, and he says to me, all the kids in my class are conservative or liberal or this or that.
Right.
I said, and he's like, I'm not sure. I said, okay, let's go figure it out. So we went to Google and we did it together. I said, let's go to Google and let's find out, okay, what does it mean to be conservative? What does it mean to be liberal? And then it says, okay, so conservatives on these points agree on this, and liberals on these points agree on this. And he looked at it, and he's like, I agree with this, and I agree with this. I'm kind of in the middle, right? And then he went on to find this thing called the political compass, which is the thing I sent you.
Yeah.
It's like 40-something questions.
Right.
You answer honestly, and it puts you kind of where you are, right? So on the political compass, the top is fascism, the bottom is libertarian, and
the bottom is libertarian.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then the left is communist, and the right is, I guess, ultra conservative. And believe it or not, Hitler was not very far to the right, but he was way up in fascism.
Yeah.
Right. So what I discussed. So I took the test a couple of times, and the first time I took it, I was very close to the middle, but a little bit to the right, and a little bit above the line, like not libertarian.
Yeah.
But just slightly above, like very little, right?
Yeah.
Like, but almost dead center. Almost dead center.
Which strikes me.
But I was to the right of Hitler.
Is that true?
I was to the right of Hitler.
That's funny.
But then I took it again. I answered the questions again. The same test.
Same answers?
Well, no. I took the test fresh again.
Right.
And
are they yes or no? Or
no,
multiple choice?
It's multiple choice.
Okay, gotcha.
But I guess I strongly...
Same exact test?
Same exact test. Same exact questions. But I felt differently about some of the corporate answers. Right?
What was it?
So then I was less to the right.
Right.
But I wasn't to the left. I was still
still the right, but closer to the center.
But more to the center. But now I was more libertarian. So basically, I'm looking for a smaller government. But I believe people should be responsible for their own shit. But we also need to be responsible for people in general that can't help themselves.
Right.
Right. So, but I'm like dead set in the middle. So I really get agitated about the extreme right and the extreme left.
Right.
Right. Like what Kamala wants to do, and I know you're going to correct me, and I already know the answer about the taxing of the unrealized capital gains.
Right.
Right. But it's only for a certain level.
Right.
Right. But still, there's so many fluctuations that you can make or break somebody at that level. Number one.
Well,
and number two, because you saw it happen at GameStop, right? How all these guys decided, right?
Fuck with the right.
So, you know, there could be Russian troll bots that decide they're gonna figure out how to tank this guy with his unrealized capital gains, and now.
So here's my feeling on that. Go ahead.
But my feeling also is that, okay, let's say they do it just for that level. It's going to be real easy for them to change it and make it across the board for everybody. Unrealized capital gains. It's a frightening concept.
But here's the thing, Tom. The people who need it the most, the help the most, don't have any unrealized capital gains. They can't get fucked.
I have unrealized capital gains.
You're not one of the ones that need it.
What do you mean need it?
That need the help from the government. Because the taxing is to sort of raise the people who are in poverty, or get them out of poverty, or help people who aren't lucky enough to be where we're at. And by lucky enough, I don't mean...
If I had to pay tax on my unrealized capital gains, so now I'm going to pay more tax than I'm currently paying now, which, you know, I'm middle class, man. I'm by standards rich.
Right, but I don't. Here's the thing. One, I don't think they're coming for you, and I think that's the paranoia.
But eventually they will.
Why?
Well, look at what they did to Roe v. Wade, right?
What do you mean?
Well, they enough right-wing people got in where they just annihilated the whole Roe v. Wade thing, right? They can do whatever the fuck they want to do, is my point. And there's nothing we can do to stop
But that's the way it is, period.
Right.
At all, whether it's Kamala, Trump, Biden, or
so Trump scares the shit out of me, not because it's Trump, but because of, like, people say he's a racist or that. I don't. What scares me about Trump is the Project 2025.
Oh yeah, that's horrifying.
That's right. Well, that scares the shit out of me.
Here's why that's scary, because Trump is
he would love to perpetuate that.
But here's the thing. Here's what the thing with Trump, and we'll get back to the Kamala tax thing in a minute. The thing with Trump is, Trump scares me in many ways, but the thing that scares me most about Trump is so simple and so facile, and it's so easy to manipulate him.
He's so smarter than he's a lot smarter than we are.
He's not. He's not. He's a con man. He's always been a con. Now, con men are very smart. They're very smart at conning. But part of also with Trump's Achilles heel is Trump is very insecure. So Trump needs to feel, like even the other day he was saying about how he's really freaking out about people calling him weird. So now he's like, oh, J.D. Vance isn't weird. He's like a rock. I'm a stronger rock. He always has to be the best.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is that people like Putin and Xi and Jong-un, and more scary, people in his immediate government world can easily manipulate him into doing whatever the fuck they want. And that's why J.D. Vance is vice president. Now, that is the stupidest pick I can comprehend.
See, okay.
And he only is vice president because he kissed his ass the most.
Okay.
Period.
Now, I have no idea who J.D. Vance is.
Okay.
Okay, so now you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
I never watch. So there's a lot of people that are famous that have done this and that and the other thing with all the. I have no idea who they are.
Right. Well, but I'm saying he's a horrible pick.
Okay.
I'm thrilled he picked him because it's gonna tank him.
It's gonna hurt him.
Well, 100%. I think he's gonna get annihilated anyway. But so my point is, he only picked J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance kissed his ass the most. So the people at the 25 Project are aware that they can manipulate Donald Trump into, because I honestly don't think Donald Trump believes in half the stuff he says. He just knows where.
Why did you say it?
Because I'll tell you what's interesting. I used to hate Howard Stern.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because he was full of shit. Because he knew what his audience was.
Right.
And early on, he was somewhat, I don't want to say right wing, because that wasn't really a thing back then. But he was very conservative. He preyed on sort of working class men who probably, drink too much and just think women are whatever it is. And he had an audience and he played into it. And I knew that wasn't who he was. And he's not that.
But who cares? He's played a character. It's just like anybody else.
But here's the thing. Yes, but no one knew he was playing a character. People thought it was because. But to my point, so Trump was playing a character.
Okay.
Trump knows where he's getting his votes from.
I see where you're going. Okay.
And so he is going to say whatever gets
Trump
him those
said
votes.
Years ago, he said that he was a Democrat.
But he'll run as a Republican
because he knew he could win as a Republican.
Yes,
right.
And he's 100% true. Right. So I don't think so. So that's what scares me about Trump is that he's easily manipulatable, and he only cares about himself. Like I hated George W. Bush, the second one, hated him. I never once for a second, Tom, thought he didn't care about the country. I disagreed with what he thought would make the country better, but I felt he cared about America. I don't think Trump gives a fuck about the country. Doesn't care.
Probably not.
And that's my problem.
Okay.
That's my problem is that he will sell us down the river and has tried already. And the only reason and this is why I say he's stupid, because all of the bumbling ways he tried to overturn the election.
Yeah,
if anyone's smart, there were so many holes in our democracy. There's so many ways to fucking destroy it. Anyone smart would have done it. He was so bumbling and stupid in hiring people who just kissed his ass that he failed.
Right. That was the same thing on The Apprentice, right? It was all about kissing his ass.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So going back to Kamala is that, look, they can do whatever they want. The government can they can do whatever they want. But why do you think if they're going to tax millionaires up to a certain point higher, why do you think at some point they're going to come to you? Why would they need to?
It's not a matter of why would they need to. Once you draw that line, it's easy to blur it. But
why? Why are we drawing that line? First, why are we drawing that? Why is Kamala wanting to do that?
I don't know why she wants to do that.
Well, why is she saying she wants to tax the rich for?
Yeah,
and the corporation.
But it's not. Listen, I'm not saying tax the rich. What I'm saying is tax unrealized capital gains
on the rich.
On the rich people. Yeah. Right. But
you are not one of the rich people, is my point.
But once they're able to tax unrealized capital gains, they can then change it and make it global.
But why? But give me. There has to be a reason why.
Well, the same reason why we're paying. When this country started doing federal income tax, it started out where the state income tax was higher than the federal income tax. Now the federal income tax is way higher than the state, right?
Yeah.
And it keeps going that way. Right. So they're always going to find a way to get it away. But
what I'm saying though, Tom, they're fine. If when back during in the 30s, 40s, 50s, like the tax bracket was 90% after a certain point. Like it was huge. The rich got taxed up the wazoo, as it should be. So, and then it built a very fertile middle class, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden they started eroding those things and they loopholes and bullshit. And now we're in a situation. So what I'm saying, so if all of a sudden we're allowed to tax the rich and the corporations are then made to pay their fair share, which they do not. We agree on that.
Well, now hold on. How do we know they don't? Right.
Because we know they don't.
Okay, hold on.
Taxes.
So W-2 income is taxed the same way for everybody. And you've got the higher brackets, right? So, but that's W-2 income, right? Now, corporations are supposed to invest in R&D. They're supposed to do a whole bunch of other things to make the,
What's the key word in that sentence?
Supposed to?
Right. They don't.
But a lot of them do. A lot of them do.
Yeah, but most of them don't. Because they don't have to.
But still, the corporation.
Because what's the corporation?
The corporation is not a person. Right.
But legally they are now.
Yeah, but hold on. When a CEO is making $50 million a year, right? That's taxed.
Yeah. Well, yes. Like we can argue the fact that he's probably paying less taxes than you and I because of the way
the compensation works.
Yes, the ways and the ways they can.
So is he getting stock, or is he getting? If he's getting W-2 income, it's taxed the same way as you are.
Okay, but then he's not. What I'm saying is he's not getting because.
How do you know?
Because all of the tax codes are written
but hold on.
to benefit the wealthy.
How do you buy a multi-million-dollar house if it's not your money? The company's not buying it. The individual's buying it. At some point it has to be W-2 income. I have an S corp. I can't take money out of an S. I personally have an S corp.
But
I can't take money out of that and not pay the tax.
Correct. But you can do. We're getting into the weeds. But I mean, it's not like I don't want to pick on Trump again, but like even Bezos and what's his name, Tesla guy.
Right.
They don't pay anything. They don't like the amount of the small amount of money that these huge Amazon and Google pay.
But that's Amazon and Google. But we're talking about the individual that runs it. Elon Musk certainly pays more tax than we do.
I don't know if he does. I would be honest with you.
How could he not?
Because they fuck with the ways to put money. He doesn't get paid personally.
So how does he get paid?
Who knows? He gets paid into an LLC that goes into the Caribbean. I mean, I'm not but I'm just saying, like, if the money that those two companies make, and let's include Apple with that.
Right.
I mean, let's go Gates. The money those three make, if we just taxed them, they wouldn't have to fuck with our money.
Right.
But we don't tax them, so they got to go for our money. That's the problem.
But they do get taxed. Corporations pay. I know this. I have a corporation.
You have a corp. Right. You don't have Google.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, corporations get taxed. How much is your corporation making compared to?
It's trivial. But my point
is, with me.
There's no way to walk away from it, though.
But there are ways to walk away from it. We don't know them. We don't have the tax lawyers that we pay, $80 million a year to figure out how I don't have to pay $2 billion on my taxes.
Right.
It's worse for them to pay those. That's what they do, and they have lobbyists to rewrite the tax code, so it's all in their favor. So what I'm saying is, going back to the Kamala thing, is that they're not looking to tax you and me, because the amount of money they're going to get from our unrealized capital gains isn't helping anyone in the long run. It's not building a school system in Newark. It's not, fixing the border problem with resources. That's not the money they're going to need. If we tax the ultimate rich, that money can then fix that. And then at which point, so my feeling is, and this is the brilliance of the Republican Party, is that they have made a way, and this is the sort of the false promise of the American dream, is that people get upset. People much poorer than you or I.
Right.
People get upset when they see, I don't want them taxing the rich. Right. Because in our minds, we think at any moment, our ship is going to come in.
That's
and
right.
We're going to be that person.
That's right.
I don't want to get taxed.
That's right.
And our ship's never going to come into that level. So we're voting. It's not.
You hope.
Statistically, it's not. Just everyone I can see 30 people's houses right here. Everyone's not. All their ships aren't going to come in to the point where they're going to be multimillionaires, and they're going to have to worry about the stuff that Kamala's.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, I didn't know what you meant by that. So you mean that we're going to become a multi-million?
Right. We're going to be someone that's got to worry about these new tax laws.
But think about it like this, right? The Ralphie May interview that I was talking about. He said, now he's dead now, but he was making $10 million a year.
Right.
Right. But and I think Ron White was making like $20 million a year. Right?
Okay.
So you take somebody like AOC, where she wants to say, anything above 10 million, you're going to pay 70%.
Okay.
But I worked my ass off for that. Why would I? Why do I have to give it away?
Because morally,
who draws that line?
We do. That's the whole point of a democracy. We do. We don't, because we don't live with in fiefdoms and serfs, because we are in theory a nation of together, sort of raising everyone up.
Right, but that's the American dream. Holy shit, I made it.
That's
right?
bullshit, though.
It's not.
The American dream is bullshit.
No, I understand that, but that's what those guys achieved.
But how did they achieve that?
I guess by being good at what they do and booking shows.
But do you think that any chance that they had a better opportunity to get to that point than a black comedian or a female comedian?
What, like Chappelle? I'm sure Chappelle's at the same level as those guys.
I'm sure we could name 4 black comedians. Ralphie May, I don't even fucking. He's making $10 million? That's crazy.
But he was fucking hilarious.
Yes, he was. But he's not Chappelle.
But it's a matter of how hard you're working, right? If you're doing arenas, and people are willing to pay to see you at the arena,
yes, I understand.
You're making that money.
I understand that, but you're still making $10 million. So if you make $11 million and you have to give $700,000 of it away because you just made $10 million, and you're not going to miss that $700,000. You're not going to miss it.
You're not going to feel ass raped. I think I'd feel ass raped.
Why?
Because
why? You're never going to need it. You're never going to see it.
Why would you never need it?
Why are you going to need $700,000 when you're going to make another 10 next year? 10 million.
Yeah, I guess.
You're never going to. You can't spend that kind of money. You can. MCM will prove that, but you don't need to. And so my feeling is, and this is sort of where my morals and my politics land is. My thing is like, look, I won the race lottery in this country and the location lottery. I was born a white man in the northeast.
Me too.
I could have been a black woman in Mississippi.
Right.
And I wouldn't be fucking anywhere. And the ones that do are so rare and unique. They make movies about them because it's so rare. So I won that lottery right off the bat. Boom, boom, boom. Now, do I work hard? Yes. Do I do this? Do I do this? Yes. And I get to a certain point. Now, at a certain point, now it's just like we're talking about Mendham where I live. There's houses that are monstrous.
Right.
There's 2 people living in them. Answer me this. Why do they fucking need that, Tom? Why do they need a 14...
But it's none of your business if they want it.
But it is.
But why?
Because they got it on the backs of people. Because they got it on the backs of people who don't have the same opportunities. Because I don't see a single white person walking on their grounds. And you think they're legal? No.
Oh, well, that's different.
It's not different, because that's my point. My point is they are doing it on the backs of people who don't have the same ability. And chances are
But the income they're earning is different than the money they're spending, right?
What do you mean?
So I can't hire those people to do my lawn.
Sure you can.
I can't afford it.
Of course you can, because they pay $20 an hour. You get them at the Home Depot. So my point is, you're right. So if they want to have a giant mansion,
I sent the kid to private school for 6 years.
Yes.
And now to college.
Right.
We're just
But
we're just going to realize we're just going to get out of that whole cycle next year.
But I
can't afford all that.
But
shit.
don't you see? But you can afford it. You chose to take, instead of buying a big house with the ground screw, you decided to invest it in your child. To my think, the morally correct decision. However, do you know how many people, a stone's throw from this room, don't have the luxury to send our kids to private schools? Don't have the luxury to send their kids to Stanford. They still can't do it. That's the point. Now that to me is not fair.
Right, but are we talking about? So I agree with you if we're talking about equality of opportunity.
Right, which until we have it, we've got to fix it.
But
we've got to help those that don't have the same opportunity.
Yes, I agree with you there.
Well, that's where the money goes. So that's why Ralphie May should pay $700,000 on his $11th million to help a fat black kid get educated and be able to become a comedian. Not specifically, but he was born white. It's just easier. It's just easier. He could have been poor.
Actually, Ralphie May was born poor.
Yes, but still white.
Still white.
I'm not saying.
Right, but so you got to listen to his bit, because and he uses the N-word, but he talks about how
I don't have a problem with that. By the way.
No, I know, but we're not allowed to say it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right, but he talks about how they were so poor that they wish they were black, right? So
but he was white.
Right.
And so when he drove as a teenager down at night, he didn't have to worry about getting pulled over.
Right.
There's all of that, and this is the part, and I read a very interesting book, which changed I did a documentary about racism, and I wish I read this book first. The White Man Walks Into a Barbershop.
Yeah, I actually started rewatching A White Man Walks Into a Barbershop last night.
Oh, really?
But I watched it once.
Yeah,
it was good. And actually, the book I showed you earlier, almost every talking point in your movie is in that book.
Oh, is that right?
But I think your movie came out before that book was written.
Well, let's hope. Maybe
maybe
But my point is, so I read this book, and it looked not at. So we look at this country, and I'm the first one to be guilty of saying, well, we're racist. They're racist.
Right.
But it's actually talked about that the country. Yes, there's racism in this country. But the problem in America is we have a caste system that we don't even acknowledge.
That's right.
In India, they acknowledge the caste system.
Right.
In Nazi Germany, they had the caste system. These were people. So in India, that's what it is. But we don't have that. We have this illusion that we're all equal.
Right, but we're not.
But we have this belief. We've been conditioned to think white people belong in these jobs, in this world. People of color belong in this world. And so you could ask my mother, who's passed, but I could ask my mother, Mom, do you think you're racist? And she would honestly say no. She doesn't think she's racist. But she'll say to me, I had a doctor, the doctor was a black man.
Right.
Well, that's because because in her mind, the caste system doesn't allow for a doctor to have certain positions.
Right.
So my point in
but now where I work, there are a lot of black engineers at my company.
Correct.
Right. But they're all just engineers. I don't
think I'm not saying everyone has this. What I'm saying is that, but we view, so white people just have a feeling that we are born into this privilege. We should not have to worry about getting pulled over.
But
we shouldn't.
Nobody should have to worry about it.
But they do.
I know they do.
The reality is,
nobody should have to worry.
Yes, but white
about it,
people have to say that's not okay. And
that's not okay. You're right.
And most of them, not most of them, a lot of them don't. A lot of them will say things like, "Why should I not have? I worked hard for my mansion." Even Trump would say, "Well, I worked hard." Well, yeah, you also got a $5,000 or $1 million loan from your dad. So you didn't work that hard.
Right.
I could be successful with $1 million Kickstarter. You know what I'm saying?
But not everybody could. Look at how many people win the lottery, win more than that, it's gone.
Correct.
It's gone in a year.
Correct.
Because they don't have the education on how to.
Yes.
Right.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, most people don't have a dad to give them $1 million.
Of course.
And so I would think if we gave every person in Alabama under the poverty level, $1 million, quite a lot of them would do what?
Well, it's frightening. You know what the hunger number is in this country, right?
What's that? What do you?
40 million people go hungry in this country. That's a lot of fucking people.
But that's my point.
Yeah,
Ralphie made $700,000. Don't you think that, or Bezos's money? There was a thing like Bezos could, like they said, what he could solve the hunger problem in America on his interest, or something insane.
Right.
Now, I don't think Bezos has to do that. Now, Bill Gates, on the other hand, is giving away all of his money before he dies.
Right.
Just giving it away.
Yeah.
Which is admirable.
Right.
I'm sure his kids aren't.
As long as he, right. So what's his name? Carnegie said the same thing. I want to give away my money, but I want to make sure it doesn't do any harm.
Right.
Right. So.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, I guess it means, in my opinion, what it means is that he wants to make sure that it goes to the right places to further.
Right, and that's a slippery slope, because that's that's very subjective. The right places.
Well, no. Well, it is and it isn't, right? You know the story of Milton Hershey.
Well, I like his candy bars.
Okay, so Milton Hershey, they couldn't have any kids,
right?
But he got rich doing that. But they started a school that is specifically for orphans.
Right. Okay.
Right, and they have all these charitable things put into place to help the underprivileged, right? I think more people need to do what he did.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yes, absolutely, I agree. And you know, people talk about reparations.
But when you do that, let's talk about that.
Okay, so reparations. I think reparations.
What do you think it is, though?
What?
What do you think reparations actually is?
What do you mean? What do I think it is?
Well, like, I think a lot of people believe that reparations means that a bunch of black people are just going to get handed money.
Well, that's one of the theories. That's one of the possibilities.
Right.
If you can prove that your family members at some point were enslaved,
that they should just get money.
You would get money. Right. I do not think that's the way to go.
See, I think the way to go is to put programs into place so that these underprivileged kids can get the resources that they need to get the education that they, the things that they don't have. Correct. They'll have the opportunity. Right?
I agree. So
it's all about leveling the opportunity playing field.
Correct.
Right.
That's all, and that's all we have to do. But we have spent our entire 400 years saying that's what we want to do. But when they start getting there,
but who's we? The people in power. The people.
It doesn't have to be the people in power. The people in power. It could be the people in power. It could be the government making laws and not the money not going where it's supposed to go when it's supposed to go. Or it could be a bunch of thugs burning down a town in Tulsa that's black. That's doing well.
I would like to see the balance sheet and the P&L, the real P&L of all the things that we spend money on, like all the money went to the Ukraine, right?
Right.
I'd like to see the P&L on that. Right. I mean, look, I agree that we have to spend a certain amount in foreign aid for whatever reason, right?
Right.
But then they talk about, well, this guy got a Rolls Royce or this or that or the other thing.
Listen, there's corruption and graft everywhere.
I want to see the right.
I agree, and that's the problem.
So now Newark still has lead in the water.
I know,
right? We could have gold-plated those fucking pipes with the money we gave to Ukraine.
I 100% agree that so we go with reparations. So okay, let's just say we're taking $200 billion, throwing a name out there.
Whatever the number is.
To across the country, raise the standards of living, education, all the shit that everyone else said, that middle-class white people have.
Right.
And the problem is, it goes to, and this is the problem with human nature. Human nature is inherently going to take care of themselves. Right. So someone's going to take that money and someone's going to buy a Rolls Royce.
That's right.
And someone's going to do this, and it's not going to go where it needs to go.
Right.
So the problem is twofold. One, do we take the reparations and find the money and put it somewhere? And the second problem is, which is probably bigger, how do we make sure the resources go to where they're supposed to go?
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
And that's what I kind of just said. I want to see we never see the balance sheet.
Right, and that's the problem, and that is the problem with the people in that own community, that they will screw themselves over, their own people over, to benefit, to line their pockets. And I get that. I mean, and that's the problem. But going back to the original thing was that, look, I feel it is my moral obligation to do all that I can to help people that are less fortunate. It's one of the reasons I started my film company, Tom. I started a film company, and we only made movies that told stories about people of color, women, and LGBT community, because I saw that as a white man, I was getting more meetings in Hollywood. I was getting more opportunities in Hollywood than my much more talented but or female or people of color. They weren't getting in the door at Hollywood.
Right.
So my feeling was like, wait a minute, that's not fair. Now I'm not someone that's going to occupy Wall Street. I'm not going to sit in front of a tank in Tenement Square. I'm too much of a pussy. But so my thing is, okay, well, this is what I'll do is I'll make movies that tell other stories that aren't being addressed. Now, I started this in the 90s. Yeah, there's a lot more parody now. Like, it still needs to be.
Right.
But back then, there were no movies. Right. I did a movie called Strange Fruit about a gay black man that gets lynched. And it was in every single gay film festival because it was the only black gay film. The only one.
Got it.
And people, and there were, I was at a gay film festival in San Francisco. It was one of the biggest one in the country. They saw the film, did a Q&A. There's about a handful of people that were not happy with me. And they had to drive me home because they were afraid of for my life.
Really?
Yeah. And also in San Francisco, I won an award for, and they said off stage, you won the award. And then after off stage, they handed me a check. Said, we didn't want to give that to you because the feeling was because it was a black festival.
Right.
And they were like, people would get upset. And I get that. But my point is, and there would be people in the audience yelling at me, who do I think I am making this movie?
Right.
But then on the flip side, there were people in the audience that stood up yelling at them saying, hey, we only have ourselves to blame. We're not doing it.
Right.
He's doing it. Now, should he be doing it? I don't know, but if we can't be complaining if we're not doing it.
Right.
So my whole point was to open the door to let other filmmakers get in and get the opportunity. And that you brought up Sister's Keeper.
Right.
There was a black actor who was actually the star of Strange Fruit. He wanted to make a movie, direct a movie. He's a black man, and I produced it for him. So now he's directed sitcoms. He's done it. Sort of did the thing.
So you helped open the door for him.
Exactly.
Good.
So that's my point. My feeling is I have to do whatever I can morally to help people that don't have the same opportunities as me. Now, if I have Ralphie May money, and Kamala Harris says to me, Kyle, every after 10 million, I need 70% of that. Above that, fine. I'm fine. Because I'm going to be dead. What does it matter?
I guess.
You know what I'm saying? What does it matter? But if other people aren't going to be, the country has got to be better. We have to help people. It's the same thing. My wife's car got broken into when she was in 20 years old. She had 20 in her 20s. And she stupidly left like a Gucci, some kind of expensive purse. And she wasn't mad. Her thing was like, that person needed it more than me. And I was like, wow, because I was, I'm like, fuck, they broke your window. But she's like, no, I don't, I'm lucky enough that I have that. Now I don't think she wants to be someone grabbing it, but it's sort of and I don't need everyone to be sort of that way, but I don't understand someone who has a 15-room house with a giant Trump sign up. Because the only reason he has a giant Trump sign is because he doesn't want to pay taxes. That's it. He doesn't give a fuck about abortion. He doesn't want to pay taxes. That's all it is. Because those are the ones that are scary. The people that stormed the Capitol are just easily swayed.
I don't understand what the hell happened there.
It's kind of a cult. When I said he's dumb, it's probably not fair. He's a brilliant con man.
So right. So a lot of times they'll say this idiot or that idiot, and I don't mean idiot in the moron sense. I mean it in the pejorative asshole sense. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't think Trump is an idiot in terms of stupid. I think he's losing things. But I think he is innately, which is what most con men are like, the good ones. Charles Manson, Scientology. They just have an ability to find what works to manipulate you. Right. To give them everything you want to give. And I don't see any. The only difference was the L. Ron Hubbard decided to prey on rich actors, and Donald Trump decided to prey on poor, disenfranchised white people who are feeling their country is being taken from them. Right.
Well, he did say some things in the beginning that I think people wanted to hear, and that was, put America first, right?
But yes,
people wanted to hear that.
They do want to hear that, but it's a hollow bullshit thing.
Of course,
it's like because America is first. Like, we can't be more. And listen, and here's the thing. I'll tell you what's funny too, because this is a funny story, and then I got to sort of go soon. But I'm very anti-Trump, and I'm very MAGA. So my wife buys my son, who's 16, 17, a red, white, and blue bathing suit, flag. Right? Looks great on him. He loves it. And so then she's like, oh, and my wife likes taking pictures of the kids. So then she's like, oh, I'm going to do a photo shoot for the July. So then she buys for beach. We go to the beach every year. So she bought one of those beach chairs, but it's a red, white, and blue flag. And now I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why, with this? She goes, it's the flag. And I'm like, bullshit. I said, I'm going to take this thing to the beach. I'm going to sit down, and everyone's going to assume I'm MAGA. Because the Republicans have weaponized the flag to it being theirs.
Right.
And her thing was like, fuck this. Well, it's my flag too. I love the flag. I'm taking the flag back. Doesn't mean I'm not democratic because I don't put it on the back of my truck and drive aggressively up and down the streets. So it's like, so I think Democrats fall into their own trap of what appears to be shitting on America. And there's some people to the far left that are idiots. And I don't include AOC in there. I think AOC is brilliant.
Oh, but she's out of her fucking mind.
No, she's brilliant. She's going to be president.
She's dangerous.
Why? Tell me why.
I just said with the 70 million. I still disagree with that.
With what?
I don't think that you can just draw the line there.
Why?
If you work your ass
line
off,
is going to have to be drawn somewhere. There's a line. A line is always drawn, Tom. Correct? There's always a tax bracket.
There is.
So someone is drawing lines. You just don't like the new line because it's coming through you. But before you
no, I'm nowhere near that line.
But there's a line right now. There's lines. Before AOC, there were lines. There were lines in the 50s, 60s, 70s. There's lines since Hamilton decided to start taxing people differently. There's always going to be lines. So why is this line seem scarier than others?
I just think it's just unfair.
But
that if you work your ass off to get something, that it's just being taken away from you.
It's okay. First of all, but half the reason these people work their ass to get something, all of these people who have like generational wealth that's been passed down over and over and over again, they were given opportunities. And that's the whole thing of reparations. They were giving opportunities to become very successful. So if all of a sudden we said, hey, let's turn around, let's give $5 billion to these three black guys in Compton who have this brilliant idea for AI, who knows? Right. And let's do that. And they build the futuristic equivalent of the rail system or the Hearst or Google. And then great. Then that's what it is. But that's what they were given these opportunities, but unfairly. It's almost like this is going to be a weird connection. Hopefully you can follow me in this. It's almost like when they talk about baseball, when they talk about getting so mad at Barry Bonds because he cheated for the record, because he was on steroids.
Because on steroids? Okay.
And I can get into the fact that there's racism behind that, but let's just for a second forget that. Okay, yeah, he cheated. Those aren't the real things. Okay, let's look at the real records. The real records, half of them were made when black people weren't allowed to play against you. So you're not playing against the best. You're playing against the best whites. So that's bullshit. You were able to build your career.
Is that what it's all about?
What?
I don't follow sports, so it doesn't. So I guess Barry Bonds is a black guy.
Barry Bonds is a very large, unapologetic black man. Large partially because he did steroids.
I don't even know.
So yeah.
I don't even know what he looks like.
So he's a big man.
Okay.
He's a big man. Once he did steroids, his head got even bigger. But there was a period in baseball where a lot of people were doing steroids.
Right.
And the home run records got obliterated.
Right.
And Barry Bonds owns the record over,
Gotcha.
Maris, a white guy who wasn't playing against black people. But I'm just saying.
Okay.
So people are upset.
Right.
So my feeling was like it wasn't fair. So in the same way that these people who built our country, really built our country with industry, they did it against nobody. They did it. They didn't. It wasn't a fair. It wasn't a even playing ground. Black people didn't have an opportunity. Asians didn't have an opportunity.
Right.
And so now, when I look at the people, mostly in Mendham, who have these mansions,
right,
there's very, very, very few of them, Tom, who started like Ralphie May.
Right.
Their parents gave them fucking money.
Sure, I got you.
And that's not so. So that when you say to me, they worked their asses off, well, that's bullshit.
I don't know who they are, right? But okay, so I have given my son every opportunity,
right,
that I could possibly give him.
Correct.
He's my son.
Yeah.
Right. If he does become successful as a music producer, it's because he worked his ass off.
And he was, and he had a father who was successful. And partially,
how was this successful?
Because you were able to. What are you talking about? You weren't working in a coal mine for 18 hours, unable to give your son an opportunity to do anything but join you in the coal mine. That's how you're successful, Tom. I mean, you're not. I mean, you may not. In the same way, I'm successful. I worry about money, but we're successful in the scheme of things. We just made pizza in your oven. Like that's not someone who's struggling.
No, but
I live in Mendham. I'm not struggling. I'm not picking on you. I'm not struggling either. But let's not.
I am not retiring anytime soon.
Okay, that's fine.
Like anytime soon.
That's fine, but you could have.
How?
If you didn't pay for your son's education.
Even then. I mean, we're
private school.
What are we talking? A couple $100,000?
Okay, a couple $100,000 over 18 years if you invested it correctly.
No. So, seventh, 8th grade, and then high school.
Right.
That's what, $20K a year.
Okay. All right. Let's instead of getting into the weeds with that. So let's just say your son is successful, and he said,
right.
What your son's going to be successful. Part of that success is because of the opportunities you gave him, not just that he worked hard.
I got him to. All I did was give him the opportunity to go to the good school,
and the ability to not have to work on a coal mine. Like, but you can't minimize. Just in the same way, my kids, like my daughter's in Stanford, but she was afforded the luxury of going to a school that got her into Stanford. Like,
right,
and that was because of what I did. So she worked her ass off to get to Stanford. Your son worked his ass to get the gigs.
Right.
But they didn't start on ground zero.
No.
They may have started at 3, maybe not 10, but 3, but they didn't start at the same place everyone else is.
Who's everyone else?
Every single person in the world. They didn't start, there was people higher than them, but there are people lower than them.
Yeah, sure.
So when you say Ralphie may bust his ass, or you busted your ass, or I busted my ass, yes, we busted our ass, but we didn't start from zero. And so we have to understand that there are people that start much lower than us, that work much harder than us, that have much less than us. We don't want to agree. We don't want to go with that.
No, there are people that probably work harder than us that have less than us.
I know I'm lazy as fuck.
But it also depends on what they're doing.
Yeah, of course. What their opportunities to do it. You had opportunities to, what are you, computer scientist, computer programmer? You had the opportunity to learn computer programming. You had to learn to go to college.
Right.
You had the opportunity to do all that.
Right.
You didn't have an opportunity because your father was in jail because of really shitty third strike laws,
right.
And you were living in and you had three brothers, and you had to go to work at 14, and you didn't have the opportunity to go. They may be just as smart or not.
Right,
but they had different opportunities.
Oh yeah, no question.
So
I had the dumb luck of being born here in the States.
Right, and white.
And what? Well, I mean, look at my wife. Right, she was born in the Philippines.
Right.
She knew.
That's a different.
She knew
argument
that she wanted to come here.
Right.
And she knew that the way to come here, she had to be a nurse because we had a nursing shortage.
Right, but
so she did what she had to do.
That is a immigrant mentality that is completely different than someone who's raised here. It's much harder worker.
It's much harder. That's what I'm saying. For her, it was much harder.
But yes,
and she did it though.
I understand that because that's again, but she couldn't. But it's a different argument. It's interesting.
But it fits.
It doesn't
because we did start at different places, and she had to bust her ass to get here.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, she still had to go to college and be able to graduate and everything, right? I mean, there's all that.
Listen, no one's saying. I'm not saying you give everyone the reparation. Everyone gets it. What I'm saying is that we can't not. I think it's dangerous, and this is where Trump really does great. It's dangerous not to look at our privilege, and people use that word as it's a negative.
No, here, I'm going to hand you a loaded gun right now. You ready? I was born in '63. Mm-hmm. Kennedy was still alive. Mm-hmm. There has never been a president in my lifetime that has really affected my outcome, or for opportunity, or financially for more or less than $1,000.
I don't think that's true. I don't know how you're gauging that.
I don't believe that there has been a president in my lifetime that has affected me negatively or positively. And that's white privilege. That's white privilege right there.
All right. I see what you're saying. I could argue that. I could argue both arguments, but in a much more roundabout way. But yes, but okay. But it's more than just that. It's more than just that. It's that I'm going to leave tonight, and I don't have to worry about what neighborhood I drive through, who sees me, what cop sees me.
You do have to worry.
Well, I don't mean it by the cops. By the cops.
You do have to worry because that GPS will take you through a neighborhood that you don't want to go to.
Is that right? so I understand Patterson's nearby. I'm going to try not to. But yeah, so I mean, it's just. When I did the documentary, a few things. A couple things really struck me. Have you heard about? And then I got to go. The talk that Black people give to their kids. What is it? What's the talk from parents? The parent. What do we think about? Oh, did your parents give you the talk? What is it usually about? Sex.
Sex, right?
Black families have to sit down with their kids and have at a certain age a talk about the police
and tell them This
is what you do.
Actually, and all of what you're talking about was in that book that I just read.
Was it?
Yeah.
So
if you have to run, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because there's something I have to give you before. Well, we didn't have dessert.
Oh well, we talked too much.
You got to go.
Well, so I got an hour drive fucking home because I live in the fucking country.
All right, that's fine.
Big houses.
Yeah, all right.
Because I'm white privileged.
I'll give you dessert.
With the key lime pie looks good.
You want the key lime or you want the?
Just got a slice of key lime.
All right. Because I was going to pop a couple of chocolate chip cookies in the oven.
No, how long does that take?
15 minutes.
No, I got to go.
Okay.
But we had too much fun. You can send them to you. Have Chip bring them to me. Chip will eat them before he gets off on the freeway.
And that's what the show is all. That's what the whole podcast is all about. It's pizza and sodomy. So you got fucked out. I got
totally fucked out of the cookies, and I fucked you out of your. And you feel like your white privileges. You deserve your $10 million.
Oh my God! I wish I could earn it. Right?
Exactly.
Shit.
Well, this is fun. Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming.
Hope it was good. Getting quickly before your wife gets home, get these friends
She's
over.
Not coming home
but you got
Friday.
a few more friends, and you're back to alone. So was it worth it?
What?
Doing this? Was it good?
I don't know.
Did you have fun?
Oh, yes. Because I just turned 60 this year. Yeah. And I am likely to never have my own Wikipedia page. Yeah. You know what? I see a lot of young comics here, and I really do hope that some of you work hard and actually get your own Wikipedia page one day. I mean that. But me, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, it could happen, right? It's not that hard to get one, right? Dahmer had one, right? And Ted Bundy had one, right? But I am not willing to I don't want to do what Ted Bundy did to get his Wikipedia page. I don't want to do what Jeffrey Dahmer did to get his Wikipedia page, right? I don't want to get caught. Oh man, I am triggered by Real Time with Bill Maher. I'll let that say. Okay.